So the Sacramento Kings just got blown out by the Indiana Pacers at home. They just fell to 13 and 17 in the Western Conference. They're 4 and 6 in their last 10. And recently, De'Aaron Fox and his agent Rich Paul of Clutch Sports had a meeting with the Sacramento Kings to discuss the team's future and what the Kings' plans are for building a winning team with De'Aaron Fox on their squad. So that has proposed a lot of interesting ideas in the NBA community, because De'Aaron Fox did not sign an extension with the Sacramento Kings last offseason, because after the 2026 season, De'Aaron Fox is going to be a free agent. Since he was drafted with the Sacramento Kings back in 2017, Fox turned down a 3-year, $165 million extension offer from the Kings last October. And De'Aaron Fox is still having a very good season, and I still think in terms of the global NBA audience, De'Aaron Fox is very underrated. He's putting up 26 points this year, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. He's shooting 49% from the field, 81% from 3 in 29 games. He's also averaging 1.7 steals a night, but there's probably a chance when the All-Star voting initial ballot comes out that he's not one of the top guards. Luka's going to get more votes. Steph, Shea, Anthony Edwards, Kyrie Irving, they probably all have a good chance to get more votes than De'Aaron Fox, because he is in a smaller market in Sacramento. He's only made it to the playoffs once since getting drafted back in 2017, and that was in the 2023 season. Last year, they get eliminated by the Pelicans in the play-in tournament, and this year, they're off to a disappointing start under Mike Brown. The Kings this year are currently ranked 14th in defensive rating, 8th in offensive rating, 13th in net rating overall. Like I said, they are 13 and 17. They are 12th in the Western Conference, and they're 2.5 games back of a play-in tournament spot right now. The team went all in. They traded a future first-round pick to get off of Harrison Barnes' contract and basically get DeMar DeRozan for him. They gave Domantas Sabonis a massive extension. Keegan Murray, they invested a ton in when he was the 4th overall pick back in the 2022 draft, and they did not want to trade him. There was a chance they could have maybe went after Valerie Markkanen, but it was going to cost Keegan Murray. There was a chance they could have went after Pascal Siakam, but it was going to cost Murray, and the Kings front office did not want to include Murray in any trades because he had a productive rookie season. But I think every year of Keegan Murray's career so far, now in year number 3, he's been going down, at least with his offensive play. I think he's a productive defender, but his 3-point shot has fallen every single year of his career, and that is going to be a big X factor for the Kings, because this was a good window for them to maybe win a playoff series or two with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis playing at an all-NBA level. And if Keegan Murray took a step, you have such a cheap guy under his rookie contract that could have been a 3rd or 4th scoring option in the playoffs. Malik Monk, who you signed on a 2-year deal a couple off seasons ago from the LA Lakers, has given you more than you can imagine. They traded away a future first-round pick for Kevin Huerter, who has been probably disappointing over the last year and a half in Sacramento. And if Sacramento makes it to the playoffs this year, Atlanta gets their first-round pick. But if they don't, they're able to hold on to their first-round pick for now, so that is a big question mark for Sacramento going forward. That pick's actually top 12 protected this year, so there's a chance if Sacramento makes the play-in tournament and they get eliminated and they have the 14th overall pick, they don't even get to keep that pick right now because it is top 12 protected this year, and then it goes to top 10 protected in 2026, and then it becomes some second-rounders. We haven't seen the Sacramento Kings lottery first-round pick last year, Devin Carter. Hopefully we get to see him sooner than later because he had a major shoulder surgery, and I love Devin Carter at Providence. I thought whoever drafted him and a team like Sacramento was a destination I wanted Carter to go to because he could provide winning basketball right away, and I think he could be an impactful player in a 7-game playoff series. He can crash the glass. He was one of the best rebounders, and he was a guard last year. He is undersized at 6'2" and averaged 8.5 rebounds per game last year for Providence. He also shot 37% from 3, so a lot of things are not going right for Sacramento right now. I think Mike Brown has done a terrible job with developing Keon Ellis this year because he was a second-half breakout player last year. He went onto the scene as one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He turned into a good 3-point shooter, but this year, he's just been so inconsistent with his minutes, and he didn't really play against the Pacers last night. He ended up getting just garbage time minutes, which is unacceptable for one of your best defenders. The Kings as a whole are pretty much an average defense in the league, and he could provide such a advantage for you on the perimeter. And Keon Ellis is also shooting 40% from three this year, but when the minutes are just going to be this inconsistent, we've seen this time and time again, it could really stump a player's development, because this is just year number 2 for Keon Ellis, and he could be a confidence guy as well. If you're not getting consistent minutes every single night, it could really affect your play. So I think this Kings team is in a very interesting spot, because De'Aaron Fox is their franchise player. He's pretty much the second best player they have drafted in this millennium. They drafted DeMarcus Cousins in 2010, and they did the worst job imaginable building a team around him, missing on draft picks like Ben McLemore, Nick Stauskas, Jimmer Fredette, Thomas Robinson. It's actually disgusting. They drafted De'Aaron Fox in 2017. They followed that up with drafting Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic in 2018. In 2020, they do a great job drafting Tyrese Haliburton. They flip him for Domantas Sabonis at that 2022 trade deadline. A lot of people were like, that is a rich offer for Haliburton, and right now it does not look bad whatsoever. That is still looking like a win-win trade, and I think it's always been one. And Fox this year is going into year number 8. Like I said, he could be a free agent at the end of the 2026 season. He is from the Texas area, and there could be some Texas teams that would be interested in trading for De'Aaron Fox if Sacramento was going to go that route. And maybe Sacramento right now, with Sabonis being 28 years old in year number 9, still playing like an all-NBA caliber player. Do I think Domantas Sabonis can be a number 1 on a title team? No, I do not. Do I think he could be a number 2? Yes, I think he could be even a high-end number 2, like a 1B to somebody's 1A. Do I think De'Aaron Fox could be that 1A? I'm also not sure if Fox and Sabonis can be your 1s and 2s on a championship team. I think that's why they went out and they got DeMar DeRozan in the offseason, who got off to a very solid start in his Kings campaign, but he has been struggling as of late. He struggled against the Lakers in back-to-back games, struggled as well against the Pacers. He shot 1 of 7 and had just 2 points in that game, and DeRozan isn't getting any younger either. He is 35 years old. We know that they gave up a future first-round pick all the way in 2031 that the Spurs now have a swap with Sacramento. So that pick is obviously going down the line. They're kind of going all in with this roster. They could still make some other moves. I guess in hindsight, it would have been better to move Keegan Murray and some picks if they got Siakam or if they got Lauri Markkanen, just the way that Keegan Murray has been playing this year, based off like what I said before in his rookie season, where in year number 1, he ended up shooting 41% from 3. Last year, 35% from 3. This year, 30% from 3. I think he's taken strides defensively, but offensively, not turning into that number 3 option that you would have liked. So now we're in a interesting spot for Sacramento, because they do have some draft picks they can move. They are able to move their 2027 first round pick, and they're also able to move their 2029 first round pick. So they do have 2 first round picks that they could potentially move. They do also have some tradable salary on their roster, because you're not moving Sabonis, you're not moving Fox if you're going all in. Nobody is trading for DeMar DeRozan, but you can look to move Kevin Huerter, who has $16 million under his belt this year. Keegan Murray is making $8.8 million. Trey Lyles is making $8 million. So you could definitely go out there, use some draft capital, maybe attach a young guy that could be interesting, like a Keon Ellis, like a Kobe Jones, and try to upgrade this roster. If you want to call up Brooklyn, see if they're interested in Keon Ellis. If you wanted to get Cam Johnson, you can call up somebody like Chicago, see if you wanted to go all in on one of their veterans or something like that. But there's also the route of them potentially trading De'Aaron Fox at a high level. Now, if you do call up somebody like Houston, who can give you a very nice package, you can maybe be interested in Fred VanVleet, who's a good player coming back. You could be interested in maybe some of the Suns' future first-round picks. They also own, maybe you're interested in Cam Whitmore. That could honestly be a solid package for Sacramento, because you can recoup some assets for somebody that could leave next year, and you could also still be competitive right now. Fred VanVleet still gives you a solid chance to win. Is he a better player than De'Aaron Fox? No, not even close, but he's still a good player right now than just getting somebody with matching salary like a Ben Simmons or somebody like that is just a negative contract, and you're really just getting that player to make the money work. And I think for Houston, you would like to get this deal done without Amen Thompson. I'm sure Sacramento is going to hold De'Aaron Fox more valuable than maybe what some other teams think, just because he's a homegrown star. He's been maybe their biggest name this century, or since the Vlade Divac, Stojakovic, Mike Bibby era. So it would cost a lot for them to trade away De'Aaron Fox. I think it's a similar conversation on what we had with Trae Young and the Hawks in the offseason. He means so much to that city, more than you would think if you're trading for him. So it's just going to take a lot to get that player in return. So for Houston, I'm sure they would not want to trade Amen Thompson. They'd make him untouchable. Maybe Sacramento would have a different mindset. Is Tari Eason on the table in that? Because it's going to take something to get something. So that would be a risk for Houston. They have a good team right now, but they don't have that finisher, and De'Aaron Fox has won a Clutch Player of the Year award in the past. So that could be a team that could be interested in De'Aaron Fox. You could also call up the San Antonio Spurs. Is the time right now to get Wemby a sidekick, and then you could try to make the playoffs in the Western Conference. You can get there with matching salary like Keldon Johnson. You could dangle Devin Vassell, which is a premier trade asset. You could dangle Jeremy Shohan, Malachi Branham, Stephon Castle. Like, they do have some young assets that could be appealing to Sacramento. San Antonio also owns some future first-round picks from the Atlanta Hawks, from the Chicago Bulls, the Sacramento Kings, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and all their first-round picks. So you can get a haul from San Antonio if you were going to trade De'Aaron Fox there. So I think there would definitely be some interesting suitors on the table for De'Aaron Fox, but that means they go that route, and they don't have to go into a total rebuild because you have Domantas Sabonis, who was on an All-NBA team last year. He's still a triple-double machine. You have DeMar DeRozan, who's probably not the player he used to be, but he could still be an efficient 20-point-per-game scorer as a number 2 or number 3 option. Maybe Keegan Murray isn't going to be the player you originally thought, but you still have good role players on this team. Malik Monk can still score at an efficient level. I think Devin Carter and Keon Ellis can be great spark plugs and just energy guys off the bench that could play winning defense for you at a very high level. And then maybe the players you get back for De'Aaron Fox, does that make you better in the long run? It's a calculated risk that they have to be willing to take. I would still not trade De'Aaron Fox. I would like to extend De'Aaron Fox. He's a homegrown star, and I think that's really cool in this league. Are you going to have to technically overpay for Fox? And he's going to be one of the highest paid players in the league, especially if he makes a All-NBA team this year, because then he is super max eligible. Yeah, maybe that's a little scary down the line, but I think you cross that bridge when you get there, and you try to win with De'Aaron Fox right now, which pivots to the idea. Do they move Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, and some money right there with a future first-round pick to go out and get a Cam Johnson, a Finney Smith, or somebody that can make this team better this season?